Confidence is the foundation of irresistibility, but let's strip away the illusion that confidence means being loud, flashy, or constantly proving yourself. That's not confidence, that's performance. True confidence is quiet, grounded, and deeply rooted in how you see yourself when no one else is watching. It is the ability to walk into a room without needing to announce who you are, because your presence already communicates it. You see, most men confuse external validation with internal worth. They measure their confidence through the reactions they get, whether it's attention from women, respect from peers, or recognition from society. But here's the problem: when your sense of value is built on how others respond to you, it is fragile. The moment someone withdraws approval, your so-called confidence collapses. That is not unshakable, it is conditional. Unshakable confidence comes from an entirely different place. It's built on self-respect, on living in alignment with your principles, on knowing that even if the world misunderstands you, you will not betray yourself. And that kind of man is magnetic. Because people sense that his energy cannot be manipulated, he is not desperate to please, and he does not fear rejection, because rejection does not touch his core identity. Think of it this way: when you are deeply secure in who you are, every interaction changes. You no longer chase attention, you invite it. You don't overcompensate with arrogance or force, because you are already enough. That quiet certainty allows you to listen more, to observe more, to carry yourself with dignity instead of noise. People can feel when a man does not need them in order to validate himself, and paradoxically, that is exactly why they are drawn to him. Philosophically, confidence is the alignment of thought and action. When what you believe about yourself is reinforced by how you live each day, doubt begins to fade. Psychologically, it's the practice of detachment, understanding that you are not defined by outcomes, wins or losses, but by how consistently you remain true to your essence. That is why some men can lose everything externally, yet still walk with a presence that commands respect, because their worth was never for sale. So, confidence is not a performance. It is not the mask you wear. It is the man you are when the mask comes off. Build it from within, and no rejection, no failure, no opinion can strip it away. Remember this: the world bows to the man who no longer seeks its approval. If confidence is the foundation of an irresistible man, then emotional control is the armor that protects it. You see, a man who cannot master his emotions will always be mastered by them. And the moment you are ruled by anger, jealousy, fear, or desperation, you give away your power. We live in a world that provokes you daily. People test your patience, situations frustrate you, and relationships pull at your insecurities. But the truth is, your response defines you far more than the circumstances themselves. Any man can look composed when life is smooth, but the irresistible man is measured in moments of chaos. When others lose control, he remains grounded. Psychologically, emotional control signals strength. People instinctively respect the one who does not react impulsively, because it communicates certainty and stability. Imagine two men in conflict. One explodes in anger, shouting, desperate to assert dominance. The other stays calm, observing, speaking with measured clarity. Which one truly holds the power? The one who does not need to prove it. This does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending to be unaffected. That only builds inner tension. Emotional control means you feel everything, but you choose your response. You acknowledge your anger, but you don't let it dictate your actions. You recognize fear, but you don't let it paralyze your decisions. This self-mastery creates a magnetic presence, because people are drawn to stability in a world that is constantly unstable. Think about relationships. A man who panics when a woman pulls away, who becomes needy or defensive, immediately loses her respect. Why? Because he shows he cannot handle pressure. But the man who remains calm, who allows space, who trusts his own value regardless of someone else's behavior, that man is irresistible because he demonstrates inner strength. Philosophically, this is about sovereignty. You are the ruler of your own inner world. When you lose control of your emotions, you hand over the throne to others, allowing them to dictate your state of mind. But when you master your emotions, you reclaim authority over your own kingdom. That authority radiates outward, creating influence without force. So ask yourself, when life tests you, do you collapse into reaction, or do you rise with intention? The world does not admire the man who cannot govern himself. It admires the man who can feel deeply yet act wisely. Remember this: the strongest man is not the one who can fight others. It is the one who can fight himself and win. If confidence is the foundation and emotional control is the armor, then purpose is the fire that gives direction to everything you do. Without purpose, even the strongest man feels lost. You can have all the confidence in the world, but if you are wandering aimlessly, your presence lacks weight. People may notice you, but they won't follow you. Purpose is what transforms a man from being simply attractive to being unforgettable. Think about it. Every great leader, every man who left a mark on history, lived with an unshakable sense of direction. It wasn't always about wealth or fame. It was about conviction. A man with purpose walks differently. He speaks differently. He does not chase approval because he is already chasing something greater than approval. His energy communicates that he is moving somewhere important, and anyone who joins him is simply invited to walk alongside that vision. Psychologically, purpose gives you resilience. When you have a mission larger than your temporary desires, rejection doesn't crush you, failure doesn't define you, and setbacks don't stop you. They simply refine you. You stop asking, "What do I get out of this?" And you start asking, "How does this serve the path I am building?" That shift changes everything because now you are no longer controlled by fleeting pleasures or external distractions. And purpose is magnetic, not because of what it does for you, but because of what it signals to others. A man with direction provides certainty in a world full of confusion. He becomes a natural leader, even if leadership was never his intention. Women are drawn to him not because he tries to impress them, but because his vision is bigger than them. Men respect him because his ambition challenges them to grow. He doesn't need to demand loyalty. It comes naturally because people want to be around energy that is moving forward. Philosophically, purpose is the answer to one of life's deepest questions. Why are you here? Until you confront that question, you are drifting, and drifting men are forgettable. But the moment you commit to something higher than yourself, you rise above the ordinary. You stop living in reaction and start living with intention. So ask yourself, what is your mission? Not the one handed to you by society, not the one forced on you by circumstance, but the one that burns inside you. Because until you find it, you will always be restless. But once you do, you become unstoppable. Remember this, a man without purpose is lost, but a man with purpose is limitless. If confidence builds your foundation, emotional control protects it, and purpose gives it direction, then communication is the bridge that connects it all to the world. Because no matter how strong your inner world may be, if you cannot express it, it remains invisible. And what separates the ordinary man from the irresistible one is not just what he says, but how his very presence speaks before he even opens his mouth. Most men think communication is about words. They focus on saying the right lines, memorizing phrases, or sounding impressive, but words alone rarely leave a lasting impact. True communication is energy, its tone, rhythm, pauses, and most importantly, presence. People don't just listen to what you say, they feel who you are when you say it. Think about the difference between a man who talks too much and a man who speaks with precision. The first seeks validation through noise, throwing words into the air, hoping some of them will stick. The second understands that silence carries weight, that a pause can be louder than a paragraph. When he speaks, people lean in, not because his vocabulary is complicated, but because his words are intentional. He doesn't compete for attention. He commands it by the way he delivers truth without excess. Psychologically, magnetic communication is rooted in authenticity. When you speak from a place of alignment with who you are, there is no performance to maintain. Your tone naturally conveys conviction. People sense when your words are empty versus when they are backed by lived experience. That is why some men can say something simple, yet it echoes in the mind of the listener long after the conversation ends. And communication is not only about speaking, it is about listening. The irresistible man listens more than he talks. He is not waiting for his turn to reply. He is fully present in the moment. This makes people feel seen, valued, and understood, and nothing draws others closer than the experience of being truly heard. Philosophically, this comes down to the idea that language is not merely information, it is connection. To speak well is not to impress, but to connect deeply, to transfer energy and conviction in a way that moves people. So, refine the way you speak, slow down, let silence do some of the work, listen more deeply. And when you do speak, let every word carry weight, because remember this, people may forget your exact words, but they will never forget how your presence made them feel. Respect is the currency of irresistibility. Without it, confidence becomes arrogance, communication becomes manipulation, and purpose turns into tyranny. But when respect is at the center, everything you do gains gravity. And it always begins with self-respect. A man who does not respect himself will never truly earn the respect of others. You can project power, act dominant, even demand recognition. But if deep down you neglect your own boundaries, betray your own values, or tolerate situations that diminish you, people will feel it. Respect is not a mask you wear. It is the standard you live by. It's in the choices you make every day, in how you treat your body, your time, your goals. When you compromise those things, you silently communicate to the world that you are not worth respecting. On the other hand, when you live with self-respect, something shifts. You no longer beg for loyalty because your energy demands it. You don't allow people to treat you carelessly, not because you are insecure, but because you value yourself too much to settle for less. That inner standard shapes the outer world. It influences the kind of people you attract, the relationships you build, and the opportunities that come your way. But respect does not stop with the self, it extends outward. And this is where many men misunderstand masculinity. Being irresistible is not about dominating others, it's about balancing strength with dignity. When you respect others, you don't need to belittle them to feel powerful. You don't need to control them to prove your authority. Instead, you elevate them, and in doing so, your authority becomes unquestionable. Philosophically, respect is alignment. It's recognizing the inherent value in yourself and others without falling into superiority or submission. It's knowing that power without respect becomes tyranny, and humility without respect becomes weakness. The irresistible man walks the line between the two, holding his own standards high while honoring the dignity of those around him. Think of relationships. A man who respects himself does not chase endlessly, nor does he play games to manipulate. He values his presence, and therefore he values hers. He does not allow disrespect, but he also does not need to disrespect to protect himself. That balance creates security, and security creates attraction. So understand this. Respect is not demanded, it is lived. You cannot force others to treat you well. You can only raise your standards until those who do not align naturally fall away. And remember this, when a man respects himself, the world has no choice but to follow. Masculine energy on its own is not enough. Strength without depth becomes aggression. Confidence without compassion becomes arrogance. Purpose without balance becomes obsession. What makes a man truly irresistible is not just raw masculine force. It is the rare combination of strength that protects and stability that nurtures. It is the ability to be powerful without being oppressive, decisive without being rigid, and strong without losing the capacity to feel. We live in a time where masculinity is often either exaggerated or diminished. Some men think they need to be overly dominant, controlling, and unfeeling to be respected. Others abandon their masculine core altogether, becoming passive, indecisive, and detached from their natural strength. Both extremes are weak because both are imbalanced. The irresistible man understands that masculine energy is not about suppression or exaggeration. It is about balance. Psychologically, this balance creates safety. People are drawn to a man who is strong enough to face challenges, but deep enough to show understanding. He is the man who can stand firm in conflict yet soften when listening to someone's pain. This duality is rare, and that is exactly why it is magnetic. It signals maturity, the kind of maturity that people instinctively trust. Philosophically, this balance reflects harmony. Just as night is balanced by day and fire by water, masculine energy is most powerful when paired with depth. Power without wisdom destroys. Wisdom without power achieves nothing. But when both coexist, they create influence that is both commanding and compassionate. In relationships, this balance is everything. A man who is only strong but emotionally shallow becomes cold and distant, incapable of real intimacy. A man who is only sensitive but lacks strength becomes unstable, unable to provide security. But a man who carries both, who is firm yet tender, rational yet empathetic, grounded yet emotionally aware, becomes the kind of presence that others cannot easily walk away from. So becoming irresistible is not about pretending to be perfect. It is about cultivating both edges of who you are. It is about being the man who can protect and the man who can connect, the man who can lead, but also the man who can listen. That balance makes you not only attractive, but unforgettable. And here is the truth you must carry with you. Anyone can appear strong, but only the man who carries strength with depth becomes truly timeless.